A very good morning to you, dear students of class 8B. I hope you all will be very fine and healthy, safe, along with your family members at your residence. And I appeal to all of you to be safe, don't go outside, follow all the instructions that are provided by our higher authorities, okay? And keep on studying also. You all know that this is the time that is running. The best performance comes at the worst time. Can you agree with this? Why I am saying so? You know that circumstances can be anything. It can be positive, it can be negative, okay? Can be any type, anything. But the people who are firmly determined about their goal, they never withdraw their feet. It is a golden opportunity for you. Okay, make it, take it positively, make it creative, learn something new, try to learn something innovative, use your mind. What can you do in such a circumstances? What can you do for the country? What can you do for your family? What can you do for society? Okay? Use your own mind. At the same time, keep on your study. History tells us thousands of examples are there that tell us that the best performance has come at the worst time. Still, people uh, had their fate. They struggled a lot, but they did not quit. They did not leave it. So I hope to all of you that be healthy and be happy, and along with that, keep your study on. Don't leave your study, okay? Because this time will never come. The time that we are, using here, that will never come. So try to catch this time as well as you can. Now we are studying about modern Indian history, okay, and we are studying that how the Battle of Plassey was fought. I have told you this page also. Then we were discussing somewhere here the Nawab complaints, है ना? We have discussed this thing also. Yes, yes, yes. So now we have to discuss finally in the 1765. Na? Oh, page number 14, page number 14, the last heading. Page number 14, last heading we are discussing that company officials become nabobs. Nabobs, ठीक है ना? It is English pronunciation. It is the English pronunciation of the word nawab. Okay, company officials become nabobs. What did it mean to be nawab? Okay, it meant, of course, that the company acquired more power and authority. What is the meaning of the officials of the company becoming nawabs? It means that the company acquired more power and authority. Okay, but it also means something else. Each company servant began to have visions of living like nawabs. Now, each experiment carries two type outcomes. When Mughal emperors gave the special authority of being Nawab to the officials of the company, then the company officials got, first thing, what they got, the special authority, the special right, the special duties, the special power of Nawab, and at the second time they also imagined to live like Nawabs, to adopt the lifestyle of Nawabs, the luxurious aspect of Nawabs. After the Battle of Plassey, the actual Nawabs of Bengal were forced to give land and vast sum of money as personal gift to company officers. We know that the Battle of Plassey was fought in the year 1757, 23rd June 1757. This battle was fought. Then after the battle that is considered the first political victory of British East India Company or India. Okay, before the Battle of Plassey, the whole British East India Company was only a trading company, not more than this. But after the victory of Plassey, the Clive, I mean the commander, army commander of East India Company, Clive, Robert Clive, and East India Company, 100% they were in this notion that they can control India from political point of view. They can conquer India, okay, for the further ruling. So after the Battle of Plassey, the actual Nawab of Bengal were forced to give land and vast sums of money as personal gift to the company officials. Robert, will you believe one thing I would like to tell you here? Robert Clive, North 24 Pargana. North 24 Pargana district was the personal property of Robert Clive at that time. The Nawab of Bengal gifted this district, North 24 Pargana, as the personal property of Robert Clive. Okay, the revenue that was collected from that district was only of Robert Clive. He had to give no share to anybody else. So, as personal gift to company officials, Robert Clive himself ambassador a fortune in India. He had come to Madras, now it is called Chennai, from England in the year 1743 at the age of 18. When in 1766 67 he left India, his Indian fortune was worth of 401 sorry 4,01,102 dollar. 4,01,102 dollar, okay, British dollar. So how, I mean, when he came as an official of East India Company at the age of 18 in the year 1760 for 1743. But when he left India in 1767, his whole his whole worth of money was 4,01,102 dollar. Interestingly, when he was appointed as a governor of Bengal in 1764, underline this fact, very much important. When he was appointed as a governor of Bengal in the year 1674, he was asked to remove corruption in company's administration, but he was himself cross-examined in 1772 by the British Parliament. Now, when British Parliament appointed him as the governor of Bengal in the year 1764, then he was appointed to eradicate corruption from the British East India Company. But just looking his behavior, in 1772, British Parliament, okay, conducted an inquiry against him, that whether he is also taking part in that bribe, or he was also, I mean, interested in the corruption or not. So Parliament, which was suspicious of his vast wealth, although he was acquitted, he committed suicide in 1774. Okay, although he was, I mean, given clean chit, but in the year 1774 he committed suicide. However, not all the company officials succeeded in making money like Clive. Okay, many died an early death in India due to disease and war, and it would be right to regard all of them as a corrupt and dishonest. Okay, so we can't say that all the officials were dishonest, all the officials were corrupt during that time period. No, we can't say so. Okay, many of them came from humble backgrounds, and their uppermost desire was to earn enough in India. Okay, return to Britain, and many of them who were coming from some royal family, some rich family, some, what should I say, some respected family, then they had no need to earn illegal money from our country, illegal wealth from our country. They just wanted to take their own salary. Their innermost desire was to go back to England and to lead a comfortable life. Those who managed to return with wealth led flashy lives and flaunted their riches. Okay, those who managed to return, from India to England, they led a wealthy life. They led a very, flashy lives. Okay, and they were called Nawabs. That is why the term had been used. When these kind of officials, they used to return from Bengal or from Chennai or from Mumbai to England, then they used to be called as Nabobs, okay, an Anglicized version of Indian word Nawab. They were often seen as upstarts and social climbers in British society, okay, and were ridiculed or made fun of in plays and cartoons, okay. So sometimes, they used to be, what should I say, chided. They used to be ridiculed, or made fun of in plays and cartoons, that they have become nabobs and they have come from India. And their character is to be shown through drama or some short play like this, okay. Company rule expands. Next heading is company rule expands. Now this is another heading, that how did Clive see himself. How did Clive see himself? I request all of you to please read this paragraph. This is a source, so please read this source, and if you have any problem, then ask it to me, okay. I have told you sufficient thing about Robert Clive. So company rule expands. Company rule expands. If we analysis the process of annexation of Indian states by East India Company from 1757 to 1857, certain key aspects emerge. Okay, if we would like to analysis about the annexation of India by British East India Company, that started from the Battle of Plassey from 1757 and ended upon 1857 after the First War of Independence by the Sepoy of India. Then between these 100 years, certain key aspects emerge. Something special comes. The company rarely launched a direct military attack on our unknown territory. Okay, instead of used a variety of political, economic, and diplomatic methods to extend its influence before annexing an Indian kingdom. What was the main philosophy? What was the main theory? What was the main tactics to control Indian states? British East India Company did not ever interfere, direct through military campaigns on any state of India. What did they do? They took the help of diplomacy, they took the help of politics, they took the help of economic help, okay, economic point of view, and they they took all these strategies to control Indian states. They did never directly, entered uh, into the internal relation of an empire, okay. They always try to influence, they always try to create an impression from political, from economical, and from diplomatic point of view, okay. These were the famous methods, the famous ways to extend its influence before annexing an Indian kingdom. After the Battle of Buxar, underline this thing, Buxar is a very famous place in Bihar. Again, I repeat, a great battle in the year 1764 was fought between the Nawab of Bengal, between the Nawab of Awadh, and at that time the local Mughal emperor of Delhi. These three were in one party, and in another side, Hector Munro was leading the British army. In that battle, Hector Munro badly defeated Indian army in these three sides, and British East India Company won that battle. Okay, so after the Battle of Buxar, the company appointed residents in Indian states. Okay, so in each Indian state, in each Indian territory, in each Indian region, the East India Company appoint one residents. They were political or commercial agents, and their job was to serve and further the interest of to the company. So what happened? They were political or commercial agents, okay, and their job was to serve. I mean, the agents that were appointed in the various kind of states, they were just, I mean, political or commercial agents, and the main duty of them was to serve further the interest of company. Anyhow, their work was to create some kind of benefit for the company. Through the residents, the company officials began interfering in the internal affairs of Indian states. Now this is a very political point, underline it. Through the residents, when they appointed one residents in each Indian state, then they try to affect Indian people, they try to affect Indian territory, they try to affect Indian regions. How? I mean, with the help of those residents, they started entering into the internal affairs of that particular state or region. Instead, it is used a variety of political, economic, and diplomatic methods. We are right now downwards. Through the residents, the company officials began interfering in the internal affairs of Indian states. They tried to decide who was to be successor to the throne and who was to be appointed in administrative posts. Okay, they tried to decide who was to be the successor to the throne. Okay, and who was to be appointed in administrative post. Sometimes the company forced the states into a subsidiary alliance. Underline this thing, the very important word. I will tell you the detail about it. Okay, sometimes the company forced the state into a subsidiary alliance. According to term this alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have an independent armed forces. Okay, they were to be protected by company but had to pay for the subsidiary forces that the company was supposed to maintain for the purpose of this protection. Okay. Now, what do you mean by subsidiary alliance? Lord Wellesley. Have you heard this name? Not. Who was Lord Wellesley? Lord Wellesley was a governor of Bengal. So he adopted a new strategy to control Indian states. What was that strategy? He launched an alliance. His name was subsidiary alliance. Means Sahayak Sandhi. Okay. Now what is subsidiary alliance? In that particular alliance, uh, an agreement was made between, I mean, local emperor and East India Company. In that agreement, what was said, that a unit of East India Company will be kept in that particular area. When there will be a battle between that particular state and with some another state, then that unit will cooperate to local state. But I mean, with the return, due to this thing, the return that was to be paid in the form of giving them revenue, giving East India Company some revenue. After that, to accept the all the maintenance and expenditure of that unit that was residing locally in that particular region, the expenditure of that particular unit was to be bore up with that particular ruler. That was called subsidiary alliance. Okay, but it was not very useful for Indian states. It was just a trick. At the meantime, the British East India Company was not did not support that emperor. When a battle occurred, then they used to withdraw. They used to draw their feet back, okay, from war. They did not support ruler. According to the term of this alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. Okay, and this was also a condition that the Indian ruler will not keep any independent armed forces. They were to be protected by company. Okay, they had to pay the subsidiary forces that the company was supposed to maintain for the purpose of this protection. If the Indian rulers failed to make the payment, then a part of their territory was taken away as penalty. If the Indian rulers were failed to the particular amount that was fixed for the subsidiary forces, then a part of their territory used to be captured by British East India Company. For example, when Richard Wellesley, okay, who was Governor General from 1798 to 1805, the Nawab of Awadh was forced to give over half of his territory to the company in the 1801. Again, I say it was the outcome. The alliance was the outcome of the mind of Lord Wellesley, and when he was the Governor General of Bengal in 1798 to 1805, then he, I mean, half of the territory of Awadh was captured by company in the year 1801 as the form of in the form of penalty of East India Company. Okay, to give over half of his territory to the company in 1801 as he failed to pay the subsidiary forces. Hyderabad was also forced to cede territories on similar grounds. Okay, Hyderabad was also compelled to give some territory to British East India Company on the above mentioned ground. I means not for not paying the forces. I mean subsidiary forces of British East India Company. Okay, so this is a very the thing that I told you. Now that is sufficient for today. I would like to give some sort of homework to you. Your question number one: what do you mean by subsidiary alliance? What do you mean by subsidiary alliance? Okay. Question number two. Question number two for today. Write a short note on Robert Clive and his strategies. Write a short note on Robert Clive and his strategies to conquer Bengal. To conquer Bengal. Okay. The next question. The next question is for you. Okay. Why why were the officials of company considered corrupt? Why were the officials of company considered corrupt by British Parliament? By British Parliament. So that is your homework for today. Complete it and submit it to me by today. Okay. Please take care about yourself. Stay healthy and safe. Thank you. We will meet in next lecture.